Okay, what we got here is my 1987 Wheel Horse 312/8, and we're going to do a repower. You can see that they got the Kohler is removed. I was having some problems with it, burning a lot of oil the past couple of years. Actually did a rebuild on it, and new piston, valves, the whole nines. Shouldn't say the whole nines, did quite a bit on it, and it only lasted a little bit. So I reached out to the folks at Repower. I'll put a link down below. Going with the Honda, the GX630, that should be coming in pretty soon. And when I get that, what I'd like to do is do a kind of like a step-by-step procedure. There's not much out there, a lot of good forums to go on where you can see what folks did with pictures and stuff. There it is, a little bit better. There we go. Sorry about the lighting. While I'm waiting, repainting the tires, touched up some things on it with paint wise. I figured why not do a, here's my other stuff there, why not do like a mini restore on it, clean it up. But waiting for the engine to come in, and when we do that, we'll try to break it down step by step, the base plate, the engine and such. So okay, stay tuned. Okay, here's the unboxing. You got all your, muffler, your nuts, your bolts, your manuals. It's a pretty good layout. Actually, the motor is bolted to a board, and yeah, they do a very good job. The first thing that I did is I wanted to put the oil drain hose on the motor, because I just think it's going to be real hard to get at that drain plug there when it's on the tractor. So it came with it, so might as well use it. And also, I would definitely recommend unscrewing the oil filter a little bit, because this thing was on super tight. Because I believe, I know they run them beforehand, they fill them with oil, test run them, then they drain everything. So you're going to have some residual oil in there, but that oil filter was on so tight. So I'm kind of glad I did it, because I spun it off, and now I can just hand tighten it. Another step done. Okay, we got the base plate put in. You got some hardware that came with the kit, 4 bolts. These were drilled out right there and tapped. It came like that, and they fit perfect. So we got the base plate put in, and we're going to move on to the next step. For the rectifier, I think I'm going to utilize this bolt right here. I think I'm going to mount it just like that, and I'll drill the top one, because there's really no room in here to kind of mount it. It's pretty congested. So let's do that. We're going to mount the rectifier. We got that bolt removed, the carriage bolt. It's a little one right there. And what we're going to do is mount the rectifier right on the outside here like that. Got some small bolts right there I had laying around, and we're going to utilize that hole, and we're going to drill another one right up there. So let's get this mounted. It's a good spot for it. Okay, we got that mounted in there. Right there, we utilized the bottom bolt. We drilled a hole in the top, mounted that right there. That'll mount right to the harness from the old Honda. That's what it looks like from the inside right there. You don't want these too long. I just had some extra bolts to cut them down a little bit to size. Drilled some holes. This misses by a long shot. So, okay, we're getting there. One thing at a time. We're going to do the motor install now. We're going to put it on the base plate. Make sure all the cables are out of the way for now. Actually, the motor isn't all that heavy compared to the Kohler. The Kohler is definitely an animal. Okay, she's temporarily in place. Just got to line up a few things. I wish I had more light for you guys. It's a cloudy, rainy day here. But there it is. These are going to be the bolts you're going to use. You got 4 carriage bolts. We'll put a couple of them in for you, just to show you how that goes on the base. Okay, we're just going to put those in kind of loose, because we want to be able to do this with the engine. Okay, even though I only have that temporarily mounted on the base plate, I'm going to add like 2 quarts of oil right now, because once I start wiring and doing all that fun stuff, I know I'm going to have the urge to want to hit that key. And the last thing we want to do is hit that key and have no oil in this. This part gets a little confusing because we are actually going to use these holes right here. Okay, they actually mock up to my bracket down there, but originally the instructions say you got to drill them out, and a lot of people think you got to go here and here, because when the muffler goes on, you don't have much clearance. You'll see that in a clip here. Just a quick sidebar here, gang. These are the holes that they're suggesting you use, the 2 bottom holes with the arrows there. But the problem is, if you see the arrow pointing to the left, is that when you mount the muffler, the bracket is in front of that flange, and that kind of messes some things up that you're going to see coming up. And it's the only way to mount that bracket. So in this next picture, these are the 2 holes that we just talked about in the video that you want to use. But notice that the muffler bracket is still behind that PTO bracket, and that screws up everything, because it just leans the bracket forward a little bit, and you'll see in this photo the PTO bracket is still mounted in front of the muffler bracket. The muffler bracket is behind that PTO bracket, but with the black highlighted arrow there, see, you have no room to go put your linkage on. You just don't have the room. So and in this next photo, here's another shot that you can really see it just doesn't work. It just does not work. You're probably talking, I don't know, not even a 1/16 of an inch. There's nothing there. There really is nothing there. So but I do have a fix for that. These are the ones you got to use, that one and that one. And then there's just a modification you need to do to the muffler. You got to cut a little bit of the bracket off. Otherwise, all of this linkage right here doesn't line up with your PTO. See, it's way down here, because that, if you use that hole and that hole, this part, sorry, if you use that hole and that hole, this part right here is like right about there, and then this is way down there, not even close to the center. But when you go up like that with the bracket, as you'll see later, everything lines up. It's tight up here. It's real tight up there, guys. Doesn't seem like it works, but it's real tight, and it does work. Okay, linkage is on those top bolts. Okay, there's some underneath here. This bracket fit on without any modification. The only problem is now when you go to put the muffler on, okay, you end up hitting this linkage right down here, and I'll show you. Right there, right where the PTO brake goes. So, see, the holes are pretty much lined up right there. Holes are pretty much lined up right there. Right up on top for the exhaust. That right there, we're going to have to trim it out. Let me pull back a little bit there. Everything else, the PTO is lined up. Everything's good. We just got to hog off some stock on the muffler bracket. Marked it up a little bit right here. Let's take some off. Let's see what we're going to cut off here. About a ½ inch. Okay, there's the finished muffler bracket right here. All cut down. Looks really nice. That will fit in there. Perfect. The engine's all bolted in, nice and tight right there. 1, 2. You got one right there. That's the hardest one to get at back there to tighten, but it's still manageable. And this is why you sort of put on this hose earlier, because, yeah, that's good. I'll like hook it up something like in there or something, you know. Whoops. Okay, now one other trick that I did is, let me get these tags out of the way. When I mounted the engine, I lined up my PTO down here to make sure that shaft is vertical. Then I put the pulley on there with the belt. All of that's lined up. And now this pulley right here, they're saying from there to this, the side of the casing. In the old Kohler, it was only like a 1/16 of an inch. So I might actually be right where I need to be, right there. So, all right, we're coming along. The belt guides, or guards, or whatever you want to call them, we got one here and one there. This one is on this bracket, so you don't have to really worry about that one. This one here, this one comes off the Kohler. Okay, so make sure you take that off. And the trick is with this bolt right here, behind it right here, okay, you got to put 2 washers. Because otherwise, if you don't have that, this thing has a tendency to want to like go in an angle here, and then this thing right here sticks way out. So just 2 small washers behind there, then put the hardware in and you're all set to go, and everything's nice and straight. I want to line up this pulley and make sure everything's even, okay, going down the line, which it is. Looks really good. And I'm just going to put a mark right here because I got to cut that key. The key that goes in here is too long. You can't go past this because all of that PTO clutch stuff has to go on, okay? So I'm just going to get a Sharpie and put a mark right there, and that should help me determine the length of the key. The original key is on the left, and the one they provide is on the right. I already got it kind of marked. You can see it. I got a mark right there. It's just a little bit longer than the original. So you know what we're going to do. Back to the Dremel. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put the key in. As you can see, I got that pulley lined up perfect with the back one, and we have enough space against the casing there, and we're going to put the key in now. Let's put the key in and then get that all buttoned up. Okay, so to prevent this from moving in, I'm going to just slowly tap that in. I have a set screw there for that after, but also on this Kohler model, there's one over here. So there's the sleeve, but I just want to tighten this up because we got that pulley set at the right distance from everything. And whoops, okay. Get in there. Okay, now, where's all my stuff? Okay, here we go. Get that out of the way. Clean it off a little bit. That's the one we cut down. And I want to get it just past this, because all that stuff, the other PTO part needs it. Perfect. That's right where I wanted it, because when I measured it, oh, it's good when a plan comes together. Now, got another set screw right here. Tighten that down. And okay. Perfect. Okay. We got the belts on. We're in good shape. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is put the PTO bracket on. Whoops. Okay. All right, now we're going to put the PTO bracket on. That hole, that hole. Okay, let's get the socket. Get that out of the way so you can see. Alright gang, wiring. I'm not going to go crazy with information on this, and I almost feel like I'm letting you down a little bit, because this gets a little complicated, because every application is going to be different. All my wires, I mean, you can see them from on this wheel horse are black, so really nothing's color coordinated, unfortunately. So I'm going to hit on some basic stuff. I am still going to use this harness right there that came from the wheel horse. I just got it clamped there so I can do a visual, because on my particular application, and they give you this handy little test light from Repower, which is great because not everybody has a voltmeter and stuff. Let me just get that straightened out a little bit. Okay, there we go. Because in my application, and I'm going to show you how the motor came wired, what the options are with the wiring, and what I ended up having to do. But I am going to be utilizing this tab right there. I'm going to be using this tab right there and this tab right there. Okay, and they have it so you can, splice into the wires, cut them, splice into them and such. But I found out that these little clips right here, these connectors, fit in there perfect. So I'm just going to connect those to the appropriate wires on the new Honda and then just push it right in there. I figured the less, because I want the room to, if anything should ever happen, I have all this extra wire right there in the back to pull it towards, the way I'm facing now on the side of the tractor to work on anything. So let me, actually, those I got at, Home Depot, Lowe's, any big box store will have those. And just got to get the female connectors, and you can plug them right into your harness. Okay. Now when you get the engine, it's going to come with this blue wire right there on the starter. Okay, that's going to be if you have an engine mounted, cars are going by. If you have an engine mounted solenoid, and all of that will be in the instructions they give you. The applications that have a remote starter solenoid, you're going to use this little jump wire right there. Now there is a third option which I needed, which is this harness here that has a diode in it, and the gang from Repower basically made it up for me. What I'm going to do now is no battery in, so I'm going to hook up my starter cable from my starting solenoid right in there. Man, is everything tight. Just make sure you have everything loose. Okay, and I'm going to put the nut on. Oh, this is hard to do with a camera. You need camera people to help us. But anyways, yep. Okay, we're going to put that right in there. And there's a plastic little covering right there. They tell you to leave that on. Okay, so that's going to go right there. Okay, and then my harness that I talked about is going to plug in right there. Okay. This is the little harness that the guys at Repower made up for me. And on my harness, one from the wheel horse, see all the hoses, all the wires are black. Those are the three that I'm going to be basically using right there. Like I said, they give you a lot of good instruction. And it's definitely, every engine's different. So in my application, I didn't want to cut all this right here and try to splice into that. I figured leave the original harness there, because that way you have connectors on the ends. That one, I'll add one. Like I said, I bought a box of them right here. That's the exact thing that was from Home Depot. The 16 to 14 wire gauge there, the female connectors, they work perfect. All the wiring done. There's quite a bit in there, but I just wanted to give you guys a look on, this is what I came up with by using this harness right here. There's a lot going on in there anyways with the Honda, and I just think this simplified it by still using the harness that came from the wheel horse. Instead of taking these and really cutting the wires behind this and splicing them in that way. Those clips worked awesome. So the rectifier right there, I just went around there and I zip tied the line right there. This white wire right here, that's your charge wire. They give you quite a bit of wire right here. That's just going to go to your positive lead on your battery to charge your battery. So I just have to do that. That'll plug right in. There's a plug right there. I'll plug it in there, and that end, I got a couple wire connectors, inline connectors if you will, and I'll just use that terminal and to make it short. You don't need all this extra wire. But that's where we are with the wiring. And got oil in it. Throw the battery in it, but I'm still not going to start it. We still got a few things to do on the other side. So let's work on the PTO, all that stuff. Still want to run a fuel line. This is the old Kohler fuel line right there. Remember, it used to go right up to here to the mechanical pump that ran off your cam. And this is that. So, you know, I'm going to eliminate that. Keep my fuel shut off right there. Get rid of that fuel filter, but run a line from there, a new one right up to here. So let me pull back a little bit. So that's what we'll do, and I'll have a video on that, or a segment, I should say. And we're gonna route the cables. Okay, we're gonna do a lot of stuff. Gonna have a lot of stuff for you. All right. It's muffler time. And make sure, I know it sounds simple, but make sure we remove this masking tape. It's kind of like masking tape. Because imagine putting that on and leaving those on. It's like, hey, how come this doesn't start? And got the hardware right there. There's the muffler, all the gaskets and nuts come in a little bag supplied by Repower. Gasket. Gasket. Get this cable out of the way for now. There we go. Okay. Okay. I'll tighten these up after. Get them started. And don't forget this bottom bolt down here. Now, this is what I want to show you. Try not to shake the camera too much. See, this can move now by just bolting it up. We're using the top bolts, and this will go right there like that, and the linkage right here, your linkage right there will go underneath and nothing will hit. Now let's do it. Take that off. Take that off. It's a little tight, but, and obviously that's going to go like that. So it works. Top holes. Plenty of room. Well, I shouldn't say plenty of room. You have room. It's tight. PTO clutch time, belt on. Okay. How are we going to do this? Okay. Things falling all over the place here. Put that like that. That one's going to go right there. Oh, I moved. There we go. Okay, bearings all greased in there, nice and fresh. Okay. We're gonna play nice. Yes, we are. We're gonna play very nice. And oh wow. Okay, let me put the big key right there on the bottom. Wow. Wow. We can even do this. Key in. We just got to put the PTO brake on, but just for giggles, let's just put all this on right there. We'll have to make an adjustment after, but still that's tight. But I'll have to lose, you know. But it works. Well, I had all this adjusted weird because I painted. I figured I would. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's good. Let me see, I have one more. Wow, can you get it back a little bit more? Washer, cotter key, and there you go. Plenty of room in there. Well, it's still tight. Let's go like this. There we go. I mean, you got room in there, but not much. But everything works. Everything's good. Okay. Now for routing the throttle and choke cables. We're going to be utilizing this and that linkage right here. I mean, they have quite a few. They have one over here. You can go this way. If you don't want to cut these, I was thinking you can actually just get a pair of vice grips and okay, cool. What I did with the choke cable was I started right here. I put a zip tie just to keep it up like that. You can see it goes around the front, and I'm utilizing this angle right here to come in that way. I was going to go up and down with both of them, but the choke was getting in the way of the throttle, and in the throttle I just went up around the air filter and I came around, and that works really good. And the choke, that's fine. It's the smoothest way I could find to do it. The best way would literally be to go from here right to there to here. You can use that one as a for your throttle too, but you got to cut the cable, the outer sheathing, and all the other stuff. And you know, I'm just not skilled at doing that. But I think we're, you know, there she is. Go around here. You'll see where the throttle cable, the throttle cable is right here, choke cable is right there. I got to put a fuel line in. We're going to do that next. But when you put the hood down, you know, you only see a little bit of the throttle cable right there. It doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad at all. I mean, these are open. This is the old wheel horse, the open hood look. But man, looks really nice. Okay, let's do a fuel line. Let's just do the whole thing. It's been on there for 39 years, so let's start in the back here. That's what I did. And if you lift up the seat, you can see there's the hose there, right there. You can snake it right through. You have all this room to grab it. And then if you remove this plate right in here where your shifter is, it's all wide open, okay? And then what I did is I came right through there, put a brand new fuel valve on there. Those are cheap enough to get. And I kind of followed the old way it was on the Kohler, underneath and right up in there. So let me go a little bit wider here, okay? So it's right there. It just goes down around like it did, and there we go. I actually threw on the mower deck and the belt right here, okay? Before, when we wanted to take this on or off, obviously we just do that. We would remove this, okay? And then, remember before, I could easily just take this and swing it, okay? But what's happening is, let me show you. Right there underneath that linkage. Even though we got all this to work before, this part right here hits this part of the muffler, okay, in the back. So, can't get the belt off. You can't swing it by here. Right here. Okay, that big cotter pin. Before we never had to do it. Like I said, you can just swing that. So all you got to do now is just pull that cotter pin out, lower it down. Now you can swing your belt off. I got to tighten everything, but you know how to do that already. But this is the key now. That's the trick, is the cotter pin, cotter key. Okay, then when you want to put it back, just wind that hole back up. Obviously your belt would be on or off, or whatever you wanted to do. Put the cotter key back in, and boing, 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 and the key back in. Okay, just one little last tip for the belt. Oh, and while I'm here, this is what I did with my oil drain right there. I put an eye bolt in over there like that and just zip tied it, so when you close the hood, it's out of the way, it misses everything. Because, I mean, that's something you're only going to use, you know, at the end of the year or whatever it may be, you change your oil, but it's out of the way. And I just put an eye bolt in there, zip tied it. Got a nice little loop in it. It's not too stressed on the tube. And right here, I just put a nut on that bolt that was sticking up for the ground for the lights. That was originally on the Kohler, so I just copied that. So, all right, guys, it is time to, let's fire this thing up. Okay, this is what we've all been waiting for. Cold start. Let's put this choke on. Here we go.